So you have been raised by a single mom.
Yeah. A single mom. Nah.
Wow. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all well. Tell us where you're watching from. It's great to see so many of you on right now, from all over the place.
Yeah.
And some of you were there at 7:20 when we came on. What about that, man? I'm so in awe and so impressed.
Yeah.
So tell us where you're watching from and how long you've been married. Is that a good question?
I think that's a good question.
Yeah. So just like tell us. Yeah, we're watching from Rongai and we've been married
Kiambu.
15 years or 5 months, or
Yeah.
we're dating, I'm dating right now, or I'm engaged, or maybe I have no such plan, but I plan to one day. That's why I'm watching this show.
Yeah.
But just tell us who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be good.
Setting up this
I'll-
thing is so exhausting. Maze, I was like, so many knobs to press, and I have a feeling something's not quite right.
Oh
if you're on
my
YouTube and
goodness.
you can't see,
Access us.
there's something I'm not being able to get right. Just head over to Facebook. I think
Facebook,
the guys
yeah.
on Facebook are able to see. So hopefully we'll get this thing working
Okay.
eventually.
I guess we're also learning.
Mom and Pop's home studio.
Home studio. Yeah. These are the issues of the home studios. But just to introduce ourselves, for those of you who might not know who we are, this is my good hubby, Morethi Wanjao. He joined me in my program.
I did.
Yes, and this is the second episode that we're having this season.
Ndoa season 2.
Ndoa season 2 with
Yeah.
Morethi and Carol Wanjao, and he put his name first.
It's actually right now it's Karen Morethi, but
It's Karen Morethi.
this week's I put Karen Morethi.
All right. We're both pastors at Mavuno Church. Morethi is the senior pastor of just the Mavuno churches. We are both authors. We've co-authored books together. You've written, and each of us have written separate books.
We are parents.
We are parents of 3
How's that?
amazing teenagers.
That's probably.
I think we
should
might-
aside with that one.
I think we should.
That's the most
And
impressive.
you know
one.
what? By the time you have teenagers, by the way, you're so humble.
Yeah.
Before you have kids, you're an expert.
Then you have young kids, and you're even more of an expert.
Yes. They're panning out right. Everything is working out well. And then they become teenagers,
And you become a prayer warrior.
You become. Your
So-
knees begin to gray like a camel.
Yeah,
Just
so we're
spending
parents.
time-
We speakers, we're marriage coaches as well, and that's just
Yeah.
something I feel like has happened in this COVID season. We've always been passionate about marriage. We've done like hundreds of hours of teaching on marriage together. But I feel like in this COVID season, it's like God just gave us a whole new passion
Yeah.
for marriages, just as we saw some of what was going on around us.
Yeah.
And so we're so excited for you, wherever you're watching from across the world. Keep telling us where you're watching from, how many years you've been married. We love to just connect with you. But yeah, that's a bit of what we do.
Yeah, I think if you are in the Ndoa community,
Yeah,
that would be amazing. Just indicate that you're in the Ndoa community. Just a special shout out.
and I'll talk a bit about that because this
Yeah.
program is called Ndoa with Morethi and Carol, and that can be a little confusing. In fact, we probably need to rebrand this program.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's so many like it's not to be confused with Ndoa. Ndoa is a 10-week experience that is geared to just help you prepare you, give you a solid foundation for your marriage. And it's actually a course we both wrote. And so some people have almost thought that this is actually that Ndoa. But actually, there's a 10-week experience, and it's an ongoing experience. If you are interested in that, it's a revolutionary experience. It's just one
Yeah.
of those that many people have talked about being transformed by. But it's one of the things that we are responsible for, and we love having couples walk through that. And so if you haven't had marriage prep, maybe you're preparing to get married, or maybe you got married but you're feeling we need to renew our foundation. We can see shaky things in it.
Yeah.
Ndoa is just a phenomenal foundation. Maybe you're coming up to an anniversary and you're like, we need to give ourselves a gift of a good foundation. Then Ndoa is the place to go. But in addition to that,
So if you're in the Ndoa community, I think,
we'll get to Ndoa community.
oh, you get to know community.
Because right now there's Ndoa community. I'm trying to distinguish between Ndoa,
Ndoa
couples and money, Ndoa community,
Oh
and
my
then this
goodness,
show.
this
That's
can
what
be
I'm
a
saying. We
bit
probably need to
confusing.
rebrand this show.
Yeah.
So
Can be a bit
so number one is there's Ndoa, then there's couples and money. So talk a bit about couples and money.
All right. So couples and money is an experience that we authored together, and I think out of the realization that a lot of the issues that couples go through are actually money related, and it's not a Kenyan, it's not unique to Kenyans, it's not unique to Africans. It's actually a global issue. Globally, finances, I don't know, they're just very sensitive.
Yeah,
It's just one of those things that
Leading cause
Yeah.
of separation, divorce,
leading
the
course.
whole-
So it is actually a 10-week online course, and and it's actually a mentorship course,
Yeah.
because you do take it with mentors who walk with you throughout the 10 weeks. And I think we have seen the value of having mentors.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's, and
absolutely.
it's not, I think, as we are used to being taught,
Yeah.
but with this kind of, with this experience that we're talking about, you do your work before, and then you come to
Into
discuss
a mentoring space.
into a mentoring space where
Yeah.
there's peer mentoring and also a mentor who has a little bit more of experience.
So that's couples and money.
Yeah.
That's something else that we do for couples. The other thing that Carol talked about is the Ndoa couples community, and the Ndoa couples community is basically a WhatsApp community. If you look at actually on the thread, I've put a link. If you'd like to join the Ndoa couples community, it's a space where it's a mentoring space again. Where there's peer mentoring, but we also mentor you as well as a couple. And it's basically just to help couples finish well, because we believe a great marriage is possible. And so join our WhatsApp community if you'd like to be part of that community. And then finally, then there's this. Maybe we should call this Ndoa Extra or something like that. I know it's your
Yeah.
show. Can you allow me to rebrand it?
Yes.
Because like I think it's confusing for people.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
You are.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you on air because you can't refuse when you're there.
I can't
All right. So I can see quite a lot of people. There's somebody saying hello, watching from Uganda, and then there's Gladys says making 2 years in December. Emmanuel, 18.5 years. That's awesome.
Oh, that's great.
And then there's Debs watching from South B, 5 years married. We are in the Ndoa community. Woo!
Oh, good.
That's Debs over there. Emily Lagat saying, Emily saying, Eve, you're gone. Thanks for sharing. Persis Babir, she's getting married in pretty
is
soon,
it,
actually.
pretty soon,
This
yeah,
month.
is it?
Yeah, in fact, we're supposed to be invited to that wedding.
Invite us to that wedding.
So there's quite a few people watching. So keep telling us, tell us where you're watching from. We just want to keep interacting with you. What was your highlight this last week? Let's talk about that.
Highlight, yeah, I guess.
What's the thing that you remember when you think about the last few days?
Yeah.
What's your big highlight?
Okay, I think my big highlight was let me make it as deep as last week. But anyway, it was this last week. We went. We decided to be having church at your parents' place, where we just come. We watch the service that's online, Mavuno service that's online, and then we share and we discuss. And it was so amazing. I was so happy. It's a multi-generational service, so it was so interesting to hear your parents' perspective on the things that we were talking about. And I just thought that's such a cool thing for our kids and even for ourselves, because we're continuously learning from from different people. Oh, that was really good.
Okay,
I loved it.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
And that's when you're not being deep, huh? Because you're like, this isn't deep. Okay.
No.
I'll tell you what mine is. You want to know what my highlight is?
Yeah, is it the same one?
Oh no.
Oh.
It's even better.
Uh-huh.
Bees.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Well, no, this is not just the bees of last time. So this week, this weekend, I harvested 10 kilos of honey.
Yeah, we get to
From
have
every
10
hive.
kilos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about that. I
Yeah,
still have a high. I got about 5 stings
Yes.
in the process, but that's part of the hazard of being a beekeeper.
Yeah.
And boy, I just love my bees.
Can I tell you what happened today when I was driving?
Yeah, there's a bee in the car.
There were 2 bees in the car, and they came to the windscreen.
Oh no, that's dangerous.
Yes,
So what did
so
you do?
I had to stop twice
And
to
stop.
kill each of them.
You killed the bees.
Yes.
Don't kill the bees. Let
Oh,
them get
no,
out.
no, it was, I'm on top of a food chain. That's what I always run.
Don't kill bees.
In fact, that's
So-
what my daughter said.
But they can't sting you. Like they
And what if
won't.
they come, straight for your face and you're driving? It was
Okay, I'll make sure I clear the car of bees next time I harvest.
Yeah.
So okay, so that was a high. It's great to have you guys here. Today we're going to be talking marriage. We always have a mystery guest.
Yes.
And so without further ado,
Yes.
should we introduce our mystery guest?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right. Do you have like the introduction? Like do you like have a nice intro for them? Or are you just
yes.
going to say
These
they're
are
your buddies?
great. My buddies.
Because me, they're my buddies, So
Yes.
all right, so I'm gonna just introduce them as you think about what you want
What
to say
I
about
want to
them.
say them.
But
Yeah.
let me just admit them into our meeting. They've
Yeah.
been waiting for a while.
Yes.
Let's see if they come in.
Yes.
And there they are,
Yeah.
Emmanuel and Caroline.
Carol. Yes.
So
let's
Emmanuel and
welcome-
Caroline, let's just welcome these guys.
Yeah, big hand.
Great
for
to see you
Carol.
guys.
Yeah.
Looking lovely.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Emmanuel.
And
Hi.
that painting, which we agreed that Carol picked because she's a tasteful, sophisticated person, and Emmanuel is blessed to be married to her. So love
Yeah.
it. We love it.
Okay. So,
Awesome.
so thank you so much, Carol and Emmanuel, for joining us today. We're really excited. We know that that you're busy people, and so we really appreciate that you could join us.
Yeah.
By way of introduction, Emmanuel is CEO and founder of iVow Agency, which is a marriage counseling agency, I believe. And you're going to be
Awesome.
telling us a little bit more about that. And you also serve as a pastor at Mavuno Church. Carol is an account manager at FinTech company and co-founder of iVow Agency. They do these things together,
Love
which
it.
is really nice.
Love it. By the way, we're gonna put you guys in trouble because so many couples have been asking us. We need to be mentored. We need to have people to counsel us. And so,
And so
here are your
iVow.
people.
Bring them on.
All
They're
right,
ready.
let's do
Bring
this.
them on.
All right. So these two have been married for 18 years. It doesn't show, but yes, they've been married for
Oh, wow.
18 years. Honestly,
We
Emmanuel-
moisturize.
Emmanuel, you look like you cradle snatched. Let's just put it
Yeah,
that
she
way.
even looks younger than you.
Carol looks
A
way
lot
younger.
younger.
Oh wow.
Yeah. She looks
Thank
like,
you.
like she got married at 20 and, now she's just, shy of 40. And then they've got 3 boys, 18 years, 13 years, and 9 years. And they also serve in the Ndoa ministry at Mavuno Church,
Yeah.
where they are facilitators or mentors.
Absolutely.
So we're so privileged
They're
to have
also
you guys.
couples and money facilitators.
Oh, actually, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And right
So-
now they're doing a season of couples and money.
Love that. So we want to
Yeah, and
help guys to know you because you're such a fun couple. So
Yes.
we're gonna give you like exactly 1 minute to each tell us your side of the story, how I met. So like it has to be the summarized 1 minute version. I know that's hard for you, Emmanuel, because you're a sanguine and you like to talk, but
You have many
this is
words.
like 1 minute. So Carol, pinch him if he goes too long. Is that okay? I've given you permission.
I will.
All right. So let's
Definitely.
go, Emmanuel. Your turn. Your take.
How we first met.
Yeah.
I was visiting a friend in New York, and it was a mutual friend who we were teenagers together. And she called to wish him a happy new year. And so he was just like, oh, guess who's here? But he didn't say who it was. But the entire time he was talking, you could tell that, he must have been talking to a girl. So what I did is when I picked up the call, I cleared my voice and in my best Barry White impression, I belted, hello. And there was silence on the other side of the phone.
It was over.
And then
It kind of floored her.
in her best, a pastor's allowed to say, sexy impression.
Absolutely.
She said,
Yes.
hello. And she had me at hello. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. Well,
Okay,
that was
Carol.
1 minute. That was awesome. Okay, Carol, we need to hear your side of this story.
I don't think I can beat that side of the story, but we actually met before this phone call, and we met at a church as youth in a youth church,
Oh wow.
and we really didn't pay attention to each other, and we traveled abroad to pursue further studies, and then we reconnected on this New Year's call that he's so well described. So, yeah, that's
What did
it
you
in
think
a
of the
nutshell.
voice? Were you impressed with the voice?
Yeah, of course I was.
She still is. She still is.
Kind of melted made your knees go weak.
Well, thanks for
Yes.
sharing that story. We can talk. I mean, Carol is the pragmatic one. She shares the detail. We met like this. Iman was just create the scenery. It's like
Embellish the situation.
I love it.
Yeah.
So here's what we're gonna do. Thanks so much for sharing that. You've passed. You've done extremely well. 1 minute flat, and we know your story. So here's what we want to do: is we're gonna do a little get to know you game.
Yep.
And before this, we asked you to each have a sheet of paper. Do you have your sheet of paper with you?
Yep,
And
we
on
do.
your sheet of paper, there's a line in the middle. So it splits it into 2 columns. So on the first one, just write me. First column is me. Second column is spouse. All right. So this game is called How Well Do You Know Your Spouse? Have you guys ever played this?
Yes.
Oh,
we
then
have.
you're experts.
Fantastic.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see.
Let's see how well you know.
If any of you, if you're watching and you've played this game, just put a thumbs up.
And here's the thing I want to also say is there has to be a winner because life is about, those people who say we're all winners,
winners.
everybody's a winner. Man, that is such, let me not even say the word because I'm a pastor. But it
We
doesn't work
might
like
as well not do it because I've already won.
Yeah. So
I hope
here's what we're going to do. The winner has to give the loser something. The loser has to give the winner something. All right?
Okay.
And so we want to determine what the gift is, if you'll allow us to. And the gift is a full massage, full body massage.
Body massage. The loser gives
For at
the
least
winner-
at least
am
half
winning.
at least half an hour, all right? So guys,
Only
work
one,
hard because
so-
that's hard. That's not easy. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So with the stage set. So this is a trial question. What's your favorite color? Don't let your spouse see your answer. Just write on your space. What's your favorite color? And then so that's a quick one. And then now write on their space. What's their favorite color? All right. So what's their favorite color? All right. Good. Next question.
Okay. The next one is, Now, this is on the me. Did you like primary school or high school more? Which one did you like? Primary or high school? So that's for your space. And then for your spouses, answer the same question. How about for your spouse? Did they like primary more or high school more?
Okay, that's easy. Number 3, the thing that gives you joy the most right now. You know, like for me, it's bees right now, like we say. What's the thing that's giving you the most joy right now in life? Just write it down. It doesn't have to be an essay. It's just the thing that's giving you life, that's giving you energy, that you're really enjoying.
Just one word.
Yeah.
And
then for your spouse in their column, write the thing that's giving them joy, the most joy right now. The thing that's energizing them, that's just making them so passionate right now. I can see, Emmanuel, you're over. Like the look on your face, you've lost already. So just write. Stop giving faces. Just write.
okay. And then the fourth one is the thing your spouse does that irritates you the most. What
Right.
is it that your spouse does that irritates you the most?
I know it's about the toothpaste.
Or the clothes? I don't know.
Okay.
Clothes on the floor.
Okay. And then
On your spouse's column,
yeah.
what do you think? Write what you think irritates your spouse the most.
So the thing you do that irritates your spouse the most. Kari, you're laughing. I really can't wait to hear your answer to that one. And then final question. The thing you admire the most about your spouse. That's easy. So the thing that you
nothing.
just
No,
write it down. Write it down if it's nothing.
Whoa.
We just won't be in the house with you after this, so
No massage.
good luck.
No
No
the couch for a
massage.
month.
I love that. No massage. All right. So you better write something, Emmanuel. And then on the other column, the thing you think your spouse admires the most about you. The thing you think your spouse admires the most about you. And stop writing. Exam's over.
Exam is over.
Okay. So real quick, we're going to check answers. I can see there's a winner in the house right now. There's somebody, one of you just looks like a winner right now. Let's go. Emmanuel, what's your spouse's favorite color?
He's still writing.
Lilac.
He's lost.
He should be disqualified.
Lilac.
Lilac. Is that true, Carol?
Yes, correct.
Correct.
good.
All right. What's Emmanuel's favorite color?
It's purple.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yay,
Those are
18 years.
18 years. Go
Okay.
people. All right.
All right, the second one is about your high school. So for you, Carol, did you enjoy primary or high school more?
Actually, high school more.
You enjoyed high
Is
school
that what
more?
you wrote, Emmanuel? No. All right.
Oh my goodness. All right.
He had
And-
primary.
Okay, how about you, Emmanuel?
I enjoyed primary more.
Is that what you wrote, Carol?
No, we got this one wrong.
All right, so
Okay,
it's still a draw. Still a draw. All right. Number 3,
Yeah.
the thing that gives you the most joy right now. So let's start with Carol. What's the thing that gives you the most joy right now?
I said sleep.
Sleep. I can tell that Emmanuel did not get that.
Emmanuel?
What did you write?
I said being at home, which is close.
Nope,
No.
not really.
Sleep.
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 All right. I love it. Thanks for being honest on that one. Emmanuel, what's the thing that gives you the most joy?
Ministering to couples.
Ministering to couples. Did Carol get that?
Yeah, I did. Mentoring couples is what I put down.
Oh, there you go. So one
You
up.
didn't say ministering.
No. That's
No, it's not the same
that's
thing. If you
technical.
refuse my being
All right,
at home,
the referee's word is final. All right.
She got it.
She got that. All right.
Okay.
So Carol's one up. All right, let's keep going.
Okay. The thing your spouse does that irritates you the most. Carol, what did you write?
Snoring.
Snoring. I love
I
it.
don't know.
Yeah, because you're asleep. You don't know.
Okay. For Emmanuel, what do you think irritates Carol?
I thought it was communication.
You thought it was
Oh,
communication.
it was
So you were
communication.
wrong. You were wrong.
Oh, wow.
All right, but that too. But snoring is first. So
Okay.
so let's
And-
go.
and
So
how-
let's flip it the other way around.
Emmanuel, what's the thing that irritates you the most about Carol?
Passenger seat driver.
Passenger
Telling me what to
seat.
do on the passenger seat.
Okay.
Let me drive the car. If you want to drive,
Just
drive.
drive it yourself. What did you write, Carol? Is that what you wrote?
No, I wrote down shushing him when he's on a call.
Okay, that too.
Yeah, that's right there.
That's number 2.
I guess this thing of working
that-
at home.
That is more of a COVID
That's a
development.
COVID yes, absolutely. When we come close
Yeah.
together, then those things all start coming out. All right, last question. Carol is still ahead by 1 point. So this is it. This is it. The massage is about to happen. The thing you admire the most about your spouse. What did you write, Carol?
I said he has a caring spirit. So she's a shepherd by nature, so hence he makes a great pastor. So
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You admire that about him.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Aww.
Is that
true.
what you thought she admires?
Well, I said patience.
Well, shepherd and patience. Oh,
Okay.
my
Yeah.
goodness.
All right. Let's.
Getting a
So
massage.
right now our massage is unless something happens. Well, actually, I think it's over. Well, let's hear your
Let's hear
your
his.
thing. What did you say is the thing that you admire the most, Emmanuel?
Her ability to care and consider or think through everything within the home. I really admire that.
Wow, love that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was so good, so good. What did you think, Carol? You would say?
that I'm a go-getter. The choleric in me, I'm always
Okay.
go, let's get it done.
Wow.
Oh, wow. It's interesting.
Yeah.
He
This is so
admires
good.
what you do at home, whereas you thought it was what you do out there.
outside.
Yeah,
That's so cool,
That's
though.
really
good,
I
good,
love
good
it.
revelation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I think you're both winners because now you know what your spouse likes
You know
the
those
most.
preferences.
It's just that Emmanuel's the one giving the massage, but you're both winners, all right? So Carol,
Carol-
claim that
It
massage,
can go
all right?
both ways.
Yeah,
You'll get one too, so no,
Oh, even-
no
oh,
worries.
even better.
Oh,
All right.
even better.
I
Yeah,
love
pick
that.
your day and time and place to do
Love
it.
that.
Awesome.
So thank you so much, guys, for playing along with us. And the whole idea is just that, it's important for you to know your spouse, and it's not just those life and death things, even preference-wise. And so I love the fact that this many years later, you just slowly getting to know each other more. And I think that's true for every one of us who's a married couple. So one of the things that we are so glad you're here is that you get to help us.
Yeah.
In this show, we basically jump off the Ndoa community. Every week on Tuesday on the Ndoa community, we have what we call Asking for a Friend.
Yeah.
And people post dilemmas.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Let me just read what Passes. Passes is one of your students in Ndoa.
Oh,
Yes.
Shout out. Yeah, she's just saying my Ndoa facilitators. She's really, excited that she's getting to watch you guys.
Francis.
And then there's Sherry, great to, there's someone here saying, Sherry, great to be tuned in. Bahizi Florent, do you guys remember Bahizi?
Yes, yes.
Yes, from Burundi.
All the way from Canada.
Canada,
I
actually.
think he's in Canada
Yeah.
right now. Welcome. And then Emmanuel, Kashanja, and Carol karaoke. Nice, love this couple. The people who are saying they love you, which is great. We have Karina Agnes watching.
Thank you.
Diane Komunda is laughing. I don't know if it's with you guys or at you guys. Because, you're all
Us and with us.
Yeah, you're all co-facilitators in Couples and Money.
Couples and money,
Yeah, and then we have Gaki saying yay, and Annette Musambi is watching. So welcome everyone. Would love to just continue reading your responses.
So keep talking to us. Keep
talking.
commenting. So I was just going to say I wanted to welcome these guys because every Tuesday people talk and just tell us dilemmas on our Asking for a Friend group. And basically it's just stuff that they've seen in marriages out there, stuff maybe even in their own marriage that are their dilemmas. So today we want to kind of dig into a couple of those, and we're so glad you guys are experts. You're here to help us. Wink, wink. Actually, my hope is that you can just share, just keep it real, share from your own experience, just what you think about some of these issues. But let me just start with the first one. We want to move. Somebody said, I really love my spouse and family. We're 5 years in marriage and blessed with one child. And the problem is finances. So this person's problems, they say it's finances. Although I think the problem is actually deeper, but we'll get there. says he's never been open about his finances. He knows exactly how much I make. So the lady makes a certain amount, the guy knows, and how much I bring to the table, which is not much, not as much. He will even see me go to the extent of borrowing from Mshwari and Fuliza, which are mobile lenders, in order to provide for necessities. But he will not chip in, since Sina Pesa, or I have no money, is his slogan. Only for him to send cash to his friends or family shortly after. If he gives money today, he does not want to be told there's something missing tomorrow, or he'll be mad the whole time. Yet he loves eating mapochopocho, which mapochopocho is, for those who are not from Kenya, it's just snacks and bite things and delicacies and nice things. It makes me always end up in debt, and I'm always drained, and I'm totally drained on the verge of walking away. So this person is really frustrated because her spouse won't disclose how much he earns. She's put everything on the table. She's very open with it. He will basically allow her to carry a large part of the bills, but he doesn't want to be held accountable in the marriage in that sense. And he basically seems to just want to, basically he's a spender. He'll spend in the marriage, then get really mad when she's not able to meet an obligation there. So she's basically asking, what do I do? And I'm going to tie this one with another one because I think you put a second one here. There's someone else who said the husband was reluctant to provide and instead was depending on her and her family, which was very embarrassing for her. And then another woman asked if it's okay to have separate properties, if it's okay they don't involve each other in their investments. So basically it's money. And it seems to me that a real issue here is a husband or a spouse who's not willing to play. Doesn't want to really be held accountable, doesn't really want to help provide. So let me just start with you, Emmanuel, because I'm sure, Pastor Emmanuel, you've had many experiences where you've counseled people. What makes it difficult for men to talk about finances with their spouse? What is it that makes it hard for guys to just talk money? Just be real with your wife. Tell her how much you earn. Tell her what's up. What is it? Just explain to us. Help us see what's up there.
Well, first of all, just to let that couple know, that problem is not unique to you. I think every single couple, in fact, there are very few couples that I have encountered who do not struggle with the whole finances issue. What I've realized and recognized is within our community, especially, I am half Tanzanian, so I speak in Tanzania, and what I've seen in Kenya, I've seen that men typically are very secretive with their investments. They're secretive with the amount of money that they make, and they do not include their spouses, which I think it's a shame. What I've felt is a lot of people say that the moment, and this is a very common one, men say, the moment they know there's money, they will find something to do with it. They will find wataipangia pesa yangu, wataipangia, yani, they will, I don't know what it is. Yet it's just like when they know there's money, automatically, they want to spend curtains, nini, all those things. So I've realized a lot of men just want to be left alone with their money, and just the less they divulge, the less there is a desire to spend the money from the spouse.
So he's basically trying to manage the money because he feels like if he discloses too much, it'll be spent without, he loses control. It's spent faster than he can manage. Okay. That's
yeah.
Maybe.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Plus, there's also, I feel, an ego thing, a pride thing, where I'm the man, I get to dictate. Don't tell me what to do with my money. So there's also that secrecy. So they don't mind knowing, but they do not want to share because they want to be able to do their things, whatever their things are. Investment with the boys. So they'll never communicate when they're doing a deal. They'll never communicate when they're making a decision for the home.
Yeah.
It's actually a very, very common thing. And I feel like part of it is they've been taught by the ones who have gone before them. They have seen their dads do this, their dads do that. And so they're just mimicking what they saw growing up at home.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thanks so much for that. I mean, just that whole thing of ego, a thing of not wanting to be controlled. Yeah, it's an interesting one. And thanks so much for just sharing that. Now, the question I have for Carol is that I guess there's a very common problem. And I'm sure even amongst your girlfriends, surely you must have discussed this amongst yourselves at some point or the other. But maybe what I would ask is, generally, how do women feel? Being excluded from this, being excluded from, like this woman, the husband knows what she earns, the husband, is very secretive. How do women generally feel about that?
Well, definitely they don't feel good about it. I mean, they feel that they're not important enough to, have to be, included in that discussion of money, and they feel like less than. So I think we need to just change that conditioning that has been there from, generations past, and just encourage both, the men and the ladies to be able to have conversations and have what we call in couples and money dates, and just sit down, have a safe space, and just say, this is what I bring to the table, this is what you bring, and how can we make it work for our household. So definitely the women, they do feel less than and excluded, and in turn they then retaliate and start opening up their own secret accounts, little chamas, and buying their properties, and the men then get surprised and they're like, wow, she has a shamba and all this money, and I thought I was hiding things, kumbe she's the one hiding stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it can go, I think it has direct effect in terms of when you hide, then I'm gonna hide too, and it just goes south.
So let me ask then, Emmanuel, because one of the challenges this woman wrote, or one of the women here wrote, was the guy doesn't seem like he wants to be involved in providing. He almost doesn't seem to want to help out financially. What do you think what could be happening in that situation? And I mean, I know we're speculating here, but what do you think? Because I'm thinking for this poor lady, she's like, I don't get it. What could lead a guy to be in that place where he just doesn't seem to be interested in providing? He seems to be more interested out there.
I tell you what, if I could find the answer, I would rescue very many marriages. I think there's many factors. One, again, as we mentioned earlier, it's something that they've seen growing up, so they just mimic it and they do it out of ignorance. Another thing is, in the boys' club, these are things that they talk, these are conversations that they have. These are ways that they think this is how things are done. We men we deal with the big issues, and the woman deals with the home. So we do not provide for the home, which I think is a very horrible mentality. I think you're pretty much sabotaging your own relationship, because I often tell my couples, if you're doing it against your wife, you're actually doing it against yourself. You're sabotaging your own self. Because the truth is, at 4 a.m., you will be stretching your hands and asking, are you awake? Are you awake? And when you're asking, are you awake, this person is not connected with you and does not feel you and does not feel your support. So if they don't feel your support, then guess what? They'll be, no, I'm not awake. Yes, they're very fully awake.
So if I was to, for those who are not Africans, because I sometimes feel like I have to explain African metaphors. So you're basically saying it's going to affect your sex life. It's going to affect the quality of your marriage. It's going to sabotage the quality of your marriage. Yeah. That's really what
that's what
you're saying there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I could ask this last question, and I think I'm going to direct it at you. And it is, I mean, there are many women out there who are very, very frustrated, not only when it comes to money, when it comes to communication, quite a number of things. And their main problem is that lack of engagement.
Yeah.
And they're saying, my spouse will not engage. And indeed, that's a question that really came up today asking for a friend. Yeah, and so what would you tell that woman? Because I know there are many women who are listening right now, and they're saying, yeah, what do I do? I mean, I'm frustrated, I'm feeling left out, I'm feeling less than. For the men, I'm sure they have never connected finances with sex, as Pastor Emmanuel has said. So what tips would you have for someone with a passive spouse?
And thanks for asking. And I mean, I'd love to even hear what the rest of you guys think as well. So if you've got something you want to just share on that, put it on the timeline as well. Let's just actively learn together, and for Emmanuel and Karen as well. But I think for me, I think you guys you've hit the nail on the head. There's different things going on in a situation like that, and I think for any ladies who are in that place of frustration, number one is definitely family background. Emmanuel talked about that this is what I saw my dad doing, and that's what he saw his dad doing, and it's basically that sense of I'm outside, and when people lived in traditional communities, then families were together, so men would be hunting out there and the women would be tending for the home. But we're no longer in those communities. Now you're a nuclear family in the city. So when you don't come to provide for the home, there are no other women to sit with your wife and look after the farm and look after the children. She's basically left all alone. But that's one of those things. It's like you never saw your father talk to your mother about money. He basically kept his own account. He did what he was doing, and she was left to do what she had to do. And I think it's a toxic thing. And it's a cycle that many men are in danger of passing on to their own sons, because that's how they saw it. And the problem is you don't stop to question and say, how do we stop? How do we break it here? So that's a first. But another one is, I think, temperaments. Because when the lady was talking, I thought, depending on what temperament you are in Ndoa, both in Ndoa and in Couples and Money, we talk a lot about temperaments and just how important they are in helping us in how we process. Carol talked about the fact that she's a choleric. And basically cholerics are driven. And the opposite of choleric is a phlegmatic, there goes one. And here's another one right here. Because that's the funny thing is opposites attract.
Yes.
And so if you're choleric, you probably attract phlegmatic. And the problem with that situation is when you're a choleric, and especially when you're a woman, then you run into cultural issues in a much bigger way than is usual. Because what happens is, when you're a choleric, you want to control. You want to understand how things are going to happen. You want to sort of be able to play a part in what's going to happen in the future. But then a phlegmatic doesn't like to be pushed. In fact, for them, the more you push them, the more they just dig a hole in the ground and they just anchor their roots in, and I'm not moving. And so when you don't understand your spouse's temperament, you're actually going to frustrate yourself to no end, because you don't realize that when you push that man who's a phleg, the more you're pushing him, the more he feels, first of all, he feels disrespected. You need to understand, if he's a phlegmatic or she's a phlegmatic, then fear is a big thing, because there's a fear of an unknown. So you're pushing me to make decisions before I'm ready to make those decisions. So because you're not sympathetic with how your phlegmatic spouse is processing, then you can really antagonize them and really cause them to just clam up and put their head under their shell. So I think these are some of the issues that, you want to say something? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just maybe to give an example of how it was for us in the beginning. As you said, choleric. My wife is a choleric. She has a choleric temperament, and we always make fun that she's not just a choleric; she's a super choleric. As sweet and as cute and as ladylike as she is, she's a super choleric.
Everyone's looking at you like, really?
And then for me, I'm a super phlegmatic. And for her, she sees opportunities. She sees things that we need to do. Yeah. For me, Jesus is on the throne. What's the hurry, Mama? Let's just relax. We will get there, And for her, it was very, very frustrating. In fact, in the beginning of marriage, I actually thought that she was an unsubmissive wife. That's what I really thought. So what I did is I dug my feet in, and I actually said, we'll see where you will go. I will show you who's the man, who runs things around here. And I'll dig my feet in, and anything she would ask, I would say, I don't know, I'm thinking about it. 2 weeks later, it was already done.
So it's a bit of passive-aggressive behavior, because rather than hit out, you say, I'm thinking about it, because fine, do whatever you want to do. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Yes.
that's such a great example. And the funny thing is, I experience it the other way because I mean it's with my wife, because she's the flag, and so I'd push her to get things done, and I'd just hit my head against a wall. It would be those ones of, okay, fine, you want a bloody head, just keep hitting your head there. It's going to start bleeding because this wall is not moving, you know. And
Yeah.
so one of the things is just realizing this is a situation. I'm thinking for the lady, especially for your situation. You see, if you're a traditional African man, and then your wife is a choleric and she's pushing, it basically, like you said, communicates, you know, you're not, this is disrespect. And so
Yeah.
I think just beginning to understand those dynamics, they're not dynamics to excuse, but I think they're dynamics to
to be
just
aware of, to
understand,
be
be aware
cognizant
of.
of, yeah.
Yeah, because I realized,
Yeah,
because I didn't know this.
What
Go ahead.
it did for us when we did Ndoa, what it did for us when we did Ndoa is we did Ndoa when we'd been married for 10 years. So when we did Ndoa, actually it was 11 years. So when we did Ndoa and learned about temperaments, if it had ended in week 2, we had gotten majority of the, you know,
What you needed.
what we needed, because all I began to understand is that, you know, a choleric, this is how she responds when she's making decisions. You know, this is why she does the things that she does. So it wasn't that she was against me. It wasn't that she was unsubmissive. In fact, she was very submissive. It's just there's this temperament that was built in her, you know, when she was a kid, and she was just perfecting it and using it to the best. So for us, what we did is now we've used the strengths to,
Yeah.
we've leveraged on each other's strengths and then covered each other's weaknesses. And as a result, you know, now we can safely say that we have things like land, we have, you know, investments, you know, and it just took a little bit of removing the ignorance from this man.
So, Carol, maybe speak into that, because I think for me it's almost like you are frustrated. So I suspect you might feel where this woman is. It must have been extremely hard for you. You must have felt like giving up at some point. I'm putting words into your mouth, maybe I'm wrong. But somehow, you're still here 18 years later. And as he says, there's progress. What are some things you'd advise a woman in that situation? You're married to this husband who just almost, when you push him, he sort of passively pushes back, doesn't want to get engaged, and is probably fighting you by not getting engaged. What do you do in a situation like that? Or what did you do? Or what works? What would you do different?
Well, what I did to begin with was just execute and move on. But I saw that was not working, in the sense that we were not a team.
Yeah.
And I was just doing things on my own, and I would get, you know, a bit of a grumpy husband afterwards, because you know, he says he's thinking about it, but I've already executed. But what I would do is I would encourage the women out there to what worked for us is two things: just doing the Ndoa class, and also the couples and money. It really just opened up our eyes on how to work with each other, and we were able to just understand each other's temperaments and why we do the things that we do. And we then were able to get to a place where we were able to sit down and have productive and safe conversations about money without you know, the different walls and you know, difficult scenarios. So that's really what worked for us.
So getting external, getting external help, it seems like.
Yeah,
So
if
doing Ndoa, doing
yeah.
couples and money, just getting some external help into the marriage helped.
That's what worked for us, because he said we did Ndoa 11 years into our marriage, and those entire 11 years, money conversations were very difficult. It actually caused, you know, huge fights, and we almost parted ways over money, really. It was that bad. So just getting that external help really just helped us get focused and understand each other better. And we are now able to talk about money without, you know, with smiles on our faces, as opposed to, you know, clenched fists and sweaty palms and
And hidden daggers.
yeah. External help is what worked for us, honestly.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. And
Okay.
that's really helpful. I think.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah. I think for me, as I'm hearing you say that, as I'm hearing them say that, I'm thinking. I mean, that's something you've talked about a lot,
Mhm.
just about the fact that you can't do it alone.
No, you can't. And that's a very humbling thing. And it's a very humbling thing for couples to come to a place where you understand, we cannot solve this issue by ourselves. We truly do need help. I
Yeah.
know we've done that personally. The two of us, we have received help. And the Bible just does talk about plans failing because of lack of counselors.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
indeed, the whole of Proverbs really just talks about the place of looking out for wisdom, seeking wisdom, looking for people who have wisdom, really seeking mentorship. So, yeah.
I'll say this, and I think for me, this issue, I know we had planned to talk about a couple of issues. I'm almost feeling like this one is it's
a
real.
big one.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's almost like that whole realization that when, I think the choleric temptation is just to nag, to push. As Carol said, I either nag or I execute. So execute means I just do it without
Go
you.
ahead, yeah.
And I just bounce. It's like, okay, fine, you're thinking, I'm gone. And so I do my thing. And the funny thing is, it's more socially acceptable when you're a man to
Yeah.
do your thing and then leave your wife behind. It's more socially acceptable, but it's just as destructive to your marriage. So if you're the choleric spouse who's a man, I mean, you execute and you leave, and you basically are just driving a rift between your marriage. When it's a woman, I think it's harder in our society, because our society just, it's like I think it causes even more tension, and it shouldn't, but I think just because of the way men are culturalized and socialized. So it even creates, and I think that's what's happening in this. So I think one of the things I learned is, number one, executing by yourself, it might give you quick rewards, but those rewards will not be shared. And when rewards are not shared, it's not a win.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. But then number two is nagging, which tends to be then the second option.
Yeah.
Is like, fine, if I have to carry you along, let me just push at you until you finally get it. Again, that just does not work. And I can tell you, look at this beautiful flag spouse that I love very much. Like, it doesn't work. It's like trying to move a mountain. And flags look like they're the weaker part of the partnership, but they're actually not. So it's a choleric and a flag. It's like the unstoppable force meeting the immovable mountain. It's like, it's just like this mountain does not move, And so, we just ended up having so much strain before I realized that you can't do that. And I think we talked a bit about this last week, about learning to pray for your spouse.
Yeah.
Because I think I began to realize, I love what you talked about. Number one, getting help from outside. But number two, for me, I'd say learning to pray for your spouse. Because the most humbling thing in marriage, I always say, is that you can't change a human being. You can't. And the more you try, the more frustrated you will get. And it actually, hope comes for your marriage when you stop trying to change your spouse and start working on yourself. Like we always say in Ndoa, people say, you work on your spouse and pray for me. It's like, oh my God, just pray for me. I'm in such trouble in this marriage. Man, how can I change this person? But actually, we need to change that equation, and it becomes work on me, because that's the only thing I can change, and pray for them. And so when I learned to pray for Carol will tell you there are many things in her life that have changed. And then secretly I was praying, and she discovered later that I was the one who was behind the change.
Apart from the Coke story, what other story do you have?
Well, I have to tell you, she was addicted to Coke. And I'm not talking about cocaine, I'm talking about Coca-Cola. And I had these nightmares about being married to a wife who has no teeth, like wearing dentures. Because I was like, this stuff is toxic, it's dangerous. I hid Coca-Cola from the house. I just talked about it until I just realized I have to just pray. And so I started praying. So when I prayed, so here's what happened when I prayed. Tell them what happened.
Well, my body refused Coke. Can you believe
like
it?
she actually got sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is there's power in prayer.
Yeah.
Come on, somebody.
There's
So
power.
stop trying to change
Amen.
your spouse. Pray for them, because God can change them. Huh?
Yeah.
If you feel like he's
Sure.
not communicating, pushing him to communicate more won't do it. But just begin to pray. Begin to say, stand on the covenant, because you made a covenant, the two of you, when you got married. And you can actually tell God, because it was me, you, and my spouse, now you speak to them and you be the one to change them. So I think that was a very helpful.
Does he answer prayers for addictions to ice cream?
Even ice cream went.
Really?
I also
She had an addiction
I
to
had
ice
addiction
cream.
to ice
Oh
cream.
my gosh.
And
The
chocolate
addictions
fudge.
that I've prayed, and chocolate fudge.
Chocolate
Oh
fudge
my
cake.
gosh.
They're all gone.
Oh wow.
I'm just thinking,
Those
man,
are
I'm going to be
allowed.
this well-built, slender guy in my 60s, married to this anyway,
Well,
obese woman. But anyway, so by God's grace, I mean, and it's, I mean, that's obviously that's facetious because I mean it's on the surface.
Yeah.
But I feel like there are deeper things we've been able to pray for with each other that we've seen God actually change. And what happens is, the more I try to change you, like the more I try to change her,
Oh, it
that,
doesn't
like
work.
she knows immediately. Humans are too smart. She's not a child. So the minute I have an agenda to change Carol, she's going to immediately sense this guy is trying to manipulate me into doing something. And that's when her defenses go up.
Yeah.
So when I stop trying to change her and I just go directly to her maker, then she has
Then
no
it works.
defense towards that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you want to read some comments?
Yes, I'd like to read some comments. And well, there's somebody who's asked about talking about the Ndoa program. I think we're going to do that. And then Tony says learning about temperaments was a game changer for us as well. Yes, I think temperaments really helps people with their own self-awareness. And when you're self-aware and also aware about your spouse, then you know how better
Yeah.
to treat them. And then, I think that is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have. So how do you deal, Carol, with the whole respect thing? Let me just ask that because I mean we've talked about that and Emmanuel said he kind of felt like when you pushed or when you went ahead he didn't feel respected. How do you talk to somebody who's maybe in that situation and they're asking, so how do I deal with this respect thing? How do you help your husband feel respected? Just from your perspective. 18 years later.
Well, now I do obviously include him in all, discussions and decisions. I always pass the decisions or rather the discussions or whatever it is through him so that it actually, and I'll allow him to execute a lot of them so that, it's not me doing everything and not including him in that process. So I've learned to just have him put the stamp of approval before I do anything as a sign of respect. He's the head of the household, and me doing it by myself is selfish. And so I've had to die to self a lot and just show him that respect that he definitely deserves. And he's stepped up to the plate a lot more and just done a lot of the things that I would have executed without him. So I don't know if I've answered your question there, but
I love the way.
Maybe just to add to it, one of the most confusing days for me was when my wife came and told me, babe, there's this thing that we need to do, lead us. And I was like, huh? Who are you and what have you done with Carol?
Who's the alien who abducted my wife?
Yeah. But you know what that did is, one, it showed that she honored me, but two, the ball was actually in my court. I cannot blame her anymore, and I had to now take responsibility and lead the family. I was so used to her doing it, so you just move on. It doesn't matter whether I say we can do it or not, she will move on. But now she has put it on my plate, and this thing is dependent on me executing and me doing it. So in as much as I'm a flag, I can be indecisive, I'm a master procrastinator. I had to now say, okay, I actually need to do something because I will have to report that this and this and these are the steps that were taken. So I really liked that about, that I really liked it when she did that for us, and it helped me, one, feel honored, but two, the responsibility was on my court. And I don't think she realized that I've put the ball is in his court. He has to do something.
Wow.
So it just pushed me also to do stuff a little bit more.
So I love what you're saying, because I think from Carol, what you're saying is it feels like dying to self.
Yeah.
When you give up control and you say, please help me. I need your input in this. I need you to lead on this. It's because he could say, "Let me think about it," or "Let me pray about it," and he dies there. So you're actually, it's actually dying to self doing that. It feels like dying to self. But then I think what I'm hearing you, Emmanuel, say is when you do that to your spouse, when you do that to your husband, then it communicates something, and it honors. It starts to treat the person in a different way, and then the person has to step up. And I think Kara is going to use the word, you step up to the plate when that's given to you in that way. Now, I think you guys you've actually shed light on some very powerful things today, because I feel like when many couples, especially younger couples or even unmarried people, when they see couples like yourselves, when they see us, I think the picture you always have is, my goodness, it's rosy, it's beautiful. How come these guys, especially when you're young, newly married, you're having challenges, how come these guys are perfect? How come these guys never seem to go through challenges? But I think what you're saying is, I mean, we all have these things. I think when Emmanuel, you talked about the fact that these are common issues. People struggle talking about money. People struggle dealing with responsibilities. It's very, very, it's more common than not. It's actually more common to find a couple struggling than to find one that is perfect in these areas. And it's what you do with who God gives you that makes a difference. So there's somebody in this group who's watching this who's been thinking, I need to leave my spouse. It's just not working. And I think you talked about the fact that you guys almost left each other. Caro, at some point things were so hard. It's like, man, I'm done. I want to leave. What do you say to that couple who, because I mean, you almost could have given up, and there are people who are on the verge, or maybe have even just walked out. What do you say to that person? Because maybe they're looking for some hope right now. What turns this situation around? Right now it's in that painful space, because I don't think the time you were holding on, it was easy to hold on. How do you encourage somebody in that situation?
So, do I go? Okay. Yesterday I sat down with a couple. They invited me to their home, and we were going through a very similar issue. And one of the things that I told them is that they need to master the art of communicating with each other about the finances. I told them that you need to figure it out and work in unity, because the truth is, if you don't begin to change and learn how to unite with this particular partner, you will repeat the same thing if you leave this person and you find somebody else. We constantly think that the other person is the problem, but the truth is this: we play also a role in it, and we need to conform and figure out what is our problem, or what is the part that we play, and how can we come to a consensus where we agree with this person. Because the truth is, if you have this problem, like we said, there's many men who I sit with who have the same issue. You'll go and find the same issue. So if you didn't figure it out with the first person, what's the guarantee you'll figure it with this person? And this other person may come with other issues that you need to figure out. So I always tell couples, no, we are wired differently, and you need to learn how your partner is wired, and they need to learn how you're wired, so that you can be able to now mesh up together and be able to be, operate in unity.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah, just learning.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's yes, that's deep. Flags are deep. Sanguines are just airy, but yes, they're nice and light and airy, and we need
true.
that.
We bring life. Yes, life would be so boring and deep.
It'll be too deep. It'll be too deep. I agree.
Yeah. First is asked, Carol, what coping mechanisms did you use when you were starting out giving up control? How did you manage the panic attacks? This is Persis, who sounds like a fellow choleric. How did you manage those panic attacks when you started this process?
To be honest, with a lot of prayer, and I did fall off the wagon several times where I said, okay, forget this, I'm executing today. But definitely with a lot of prayer and a little bit of nagging, because I did come and tell him, look, I've placed this on your table. Have you had a look at it? And just taking one step at a time, and then also, I know I keep referring back to the classes, but they really helped me personally, and eventually both of us. But so a combination of prayer, um, and then a little of the nagging, which I wouldn't encourage you to do, but definitely the just going through the classes that really helped me a lot, and eventually just as I said, I've used this before, dying to self, where I said, okay, what's the worst case thing that's going to happen if he doesn't, do A, B, C? Life will go on. We'll be okay. And eventually, the prayers really worked because he started to almost be a mini choleric too, started to execute along with me, and it's worked out now, and we're able to have good communication and work well with money. So a lot of prayer for sure, a lot of prayer, and just dying to self and just telling myself, okay, calm down, it's going to get done. It may not get done with the deadlines that you have, but it will get done. And we're here now 18 years later, and they're getting done quite well, and without me having to execute everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But also on the nagging, I feel like it's changed the way she did it. Before it was more like forceful, but it changed. Like, oh, did you get a chance to do the thing?
that's so sweet.
And then it was just so gentle that you're just like, oh, my honey is asking me. It wasn't like, this horrible human being is just trying to command me and shutting me down, with my male ego,
So
Wow.
basically,
Just like-
your tone of voice.
The
Your
tone
body
has
language.
changed completely.
Wow.
So for me, I'm just like, okay, what was I doing the whole day? I should have done this,
Wow.
So it even encourages me to get on it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
So it's a gentle reminder, not.
we're going to come back to you guys to tell us a little bit about Ndoa and some of the programs you run. But I wanted to ask you, Carol, because I know your parents, you learned a lot from your parents. And I think I've benefited from some of the things you learned from your parents. How did your parents manage this whole respect thing, working together? They were very different. What did you learn from home?
I think what I saw, I didn't see the details, like how Emmanuel and Carol would say, gentle reminders and so on. What I saw was that my parents set up an environment that allowed for conversations to happen. And my mom set it up in two ways. The first is that she had a very high regard for my father. She really, really did. And she passed on that high regard to us as kids. And it was to talk him up. She was like, your dad is very smart. He was the smartest guy. He went to Alliance. In his village, he was the top. That kind of a thing. And so we knew that my dad is a very, very smart guy. And then the second thing that she did was the environment that she set up at home was warm and inviting.
Yeah.
So my dad comes home from work. She was in business, and my dad would come later on in the day, or towards evening, and it was so welcoming. The door would be opened. She would say, "Welcome home." She wouldn't start any stories of, many things, but it was welcoming. He would be settled, on the couch. Dinner would be served for him nicely. Would be sent, do this for your dad, do this, as in an important person has come into the house. So it was a very honoring and very welcoming space. And I could tell my dad really appreciated that, and he loved her. He really did.
Yeah.
He really
Well,
loved her.
and I think the reason I asked her to share that is because I benefited from that. And remember, we're talking about family backgrounds and the things you learn. So Carol does that for me. And she'll talk up the kids, tell them your dad is a really smart guy. Yeah, it's interesting. Now I'm hearing you
He's
talk
very
about
hardworking.
It's very hard work. And so the kids actually have a really they're very impressed with me, but it comes from their mom. Huh? But what I think it does is, remember, we're talking about how do you get a guy to feel respected. There's a little thing I wanted to just share, because I feel like when it comes to men and women, we're so wired differently. For women, and this is a generalization, I know, but generally for women, your relationships are extremely important for you. If you are thriving in your relationships, you've got great relationships with your parents, with your spouse, with your kids, there's great respect there, there's great joy in that space, then other things can be falling apart, but that holds you together. As long as that's intact, you're fine. Now, for guys, we tend to be wired on the other spectrum, and I think both these represent God's image, but we tend to be wired on the achievement part. If I'm doing badly at work, things are falling apart in my life regarding provision or finances, but then my wife loves me and everybody loves me, it doesn't work. I think for guys, winning is so important. It's just hardwired into us. And so I feel like one of the things that we also want to throw into this matrix here about when you talk about the conversation of respect is even if your husband is earning less than you,
Yes.
even if he's not as the high achiever that you thought he would be, just learning to appreciate him. Because you understand that's a deep felt need. It's an insecurity for men. And when men don't get that cheering squad at home, they're going to go look for it. Because they really need it. It's a deep, and I think it's the same for women, understanding your wife's need for love and positive affirmation that is unconditional, that is not based on her performance, it's just loving her. So I think when we understand his needs and her needs, then we're able to support each other. And so I really wanted you to share that story because I feel like that's really worked for us.
Yeah. In fact, I even if the kids were not there, because it's not all the time we're going to have our kids. I think I make a point of just appreciating you work so hard, you're so smart. I mean,
and even the days when she's the one who was earning and I was kind of like a student, I was a
story.
kept man. She still would talk like that, so I wouldn't feel like. So I think those are just maybe with all the stuff we've shared tonight, there's something for somebody out there who's in that situation where they're struggling with their spouse and wondering how do we keep going. Somebody asked Carol. I think there's somebody who even asked that question of. Was there any time, Carol, I think this one is fascinating people, was there a decision that you deferred like that ended up actually being that you are really glad you handed off? Like, give an example of a decision that you handed off and you just died to, and then now you're like, wow, it actually worked really well. I think there's an unbelieving choleric here who's like, really?
Does this really work?
Does this really work? So I don't know if you have any on top of mind, but if you could think of one, that would be awesome. Do you have one that comes?
Well, I have one of the reverse where, well, there was let me just give the reverse of that. There was a purchase that he told me to wait on, and as usual, I executed, and it turned out to be a big mistake because we took loans on it, and it cost us quite a bit. It was a car purchase, and it was not the car that what was under the hood was not what we saw on. So that was a lesson, I guess, I learned. But I think in terms of what was the question? A delayed decision.
One that would have been slower for you, but somehow you turned out being grateful that you did that.
I can tell you one.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. There, he's got one.
To purchase. We owned a piece of land down in Konza. So it was taking me a while because at that time I was an intern at Mavuno, and I did not know where the finances were coming from. But somehow she worked it, and we had rice and beans, and within 6 months we had a plot, and I was just like, what? We own a title deed. And she was gracious enough to add my name to it. And I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's one that she went ahead because there was an opportunity, and that land was not that expensive. It was just one of those things, if you buckle down just a little bit, you will acquire it. But in my flagness and my overthinking, I was just like, we can't do this.
And I love the fact that, Carol, then you said it's our land, because that was such an inclusive thing to do, where you're the one who pulled all the things together as he was working, but then you're able to say at the end, this is ours. which is a great way to just include and honor.
Yeah.
So
I think there's
that's
a
really
comment
cool.
here that I'd like to probably respond to. In this is, it is difficult to respect someone I do not honor.
Yeah,
And
I saw that.
yeah, and it's a very interesting thing. And I think I have had women saying, I would respect him if only he was honorable, or if he was worth the respect.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
and maybe I can share what just my thoughts on that. And for me, I think my understanding is that this is the man that God has given me, and God did not make a mistake.
My issues and all.
Issues and everything, God has not made a mistake. And so and it says in the Bible, it says, honor your husband unto the Lord. It's like you're honoring God when you honor your husband. And so I find myself, I'm honoring this man as unto God, and I'm honoring him just because he's the head of this home. Can you imagine if you have the head of the home and then you're disrespecting him? I mean, it doesn't even look good. It's almost like you're shooting yourself from the head up because you're shooting down this person. And so for me, that is the way that I take it. And I found that as I began to do that, because I had to make a conscious decision, I may have seen it modeled at home, but I had to make that decision myself to honor and to respect. The more I did it, honestly, the more I began to see God in it. I began to appreciate my husband a lot more. I began to see the positives more than the negatives. But it began with that. It's almost like when Peter, got out of the boat to walk in water, he had to do that first in order to experience what it meant to walk by faith. So for me, it was the same thing. Where I was like, I absolutely love this man. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And I think I'll also say that
really,
honor. Oh, go ahead, Emmanuel. You're going to
I really like what you've said, Pastor Carol. The honor is not necessarily about the other person. The honor is about you.
I love that.
You as an individual,
Exactly.
granting this person the honor. Sometimes I feel like when you honor the person, irrespective of who they are, sometimes they begin to walk in that. And I can tell you, like, from my own point of view, I feel like when I changed my attitude and began also talking to my wife different, communicating to her different, treating her differently, then even her response towards me became a little bit different. Because it was not about me being hostile. Because if I give you a hostile response, the first thing is your defenses raise, and then your attack clause come on. If you're trying to get or trying to make that man honorable or that woman honorable, chances are they will not become honorable.
Yeah.
It comes from a place of love, and it has to just ooze from the inside. When you give it to them, sometimes they become it.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I mean, that's such wisdom, because what you're saying is honor is not about the person. It's not about my husband and what he deserves. It's not about my wife. It's actually about me. If I'm an honorable person, then I honor. And many times what happens, my honor changes the other person. So rather than saying, let me wait and see what you're going to give me, then I'll give back. It's like, no, that's who I am. I honor. And because I'm an honorable person, I honor. And because of that, then I change you, or I begin to see influence because I'm able to actually give it to you, even when you don't deserve it in a sense. So that's really, really powerful. Now, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, I want to just hear more a little about I Vow and how people can connect with what you're doing. So just tell us a bit about the ministry and what you guys do and how our audience can connect with you.
Awesome. So I Vow is an organization that seeks to preserve the sanctity of the family and sanctity of marriage. And our role is to equip couples with tools to have strong, healthy, thriving, and lasting marriages. We have some programs. The programs are, Before You Leap for singles. We'll be doing some of those. Yeah, Before You Leap. Yeah. So next year we'll do quite a number of Before You Leap classes for all those people who are out there and are single. Then we do premarital counseling, just like Ndoa. We do also marriage counseling. And then we do also corporate events. I just recently got called to one of the corporates within our city, just to now speak to the people about relationships and marriage. And it was one of the most fulfilling, because one of the things we learned is that when things are not going well at home, it affects production. So we thought, hey, we can support you in that manner. So basically, those are the things that we do. You can reach us at our social media sites. I vow, and the I is a little I and capital VOW, almost like the iPhone.
I vow.
Yeah. And then on Instagram and Twitter, it's at what I vow. So yeah, so follow us, send messages, DM us. Yeah, and if you see me comment on the Facebook right here, you're welcome to DM and ask me for my number. And we'll be careful to reach out to you.
I love that. And we've gotten so many people who say, okay, I'd like to connect with a marriage counselor, and I know you give marriage counseling as well. And so if anybody here is looking for a good marriage counselor, we just want to commend I Vow and that ministry for that work. You guys are also Ndoa facilitators. You're also couples and money facilitators. I don't know how you do all that in addition to your corporate responsibilities for Carol. But we thank God that you are blessing many and you're impacting and influencing many lives. So this is so awesome. So glad we could have these guys.
Yeah, I'm really glad.
Yeah.
And I think what I would say, as we are coming to the end, is that we would like to challenge everyone who is listening, who is following, the conversations that we're doing. I'd actually want to put out a challenge over there.
Yeah.
If you have picked out something small from these conversations, please go ahead and try it out. Just give it a try. If it is changing that tone or moving from nagging to gentle reminders, so whatever it is that it will take, because the difference comes when you begin to apply. I love the fact that we said, we do not honor or we do not respect, we do not even love because the other person is lovable or worthy of respect. We do it because that is who we are. I can say for free, my husband told me for years that he loved me. He told me, for years. Was I acting loving? No, not necessarily. He'd tell me he loved me whether we had a big fight or not. And I think what that did for me was that it gave me the security that this man is here for keeps. And it gave me a lot of security. And I think that is what I needed, to hear. And maybe that's why God brought such a man who would tell me that. And I don't think I'm unique.
No, I think
love is a big thing for women.
But I wasn't even I was such a saint. But I think it was just even for me hitting the bottom and realizing, man, this woman just needs to be loved and just affirmed. And I just committed to do it regardless of the response.
Yeah.
And it was years before. It's like, like how Emmanuel talked about the fact that one day Carol asked him a question, like, who abducted my wife? There's a day when I told her I love you, and she said, I know. And I was like, huh? Because before that, it was always like a look of, okay, sawa. Like, let's wait.
Yeah. So I think whatever it is that you pick up, please run with it. Please apply it. Even if it is tonight, go ahead and try it out. Because then you're going to begin to see transformation. You're going to begin to see things changing. So just some quick highlights. Claire Tutui is saying changing tones is a highlight. So I think she's going to change her tone. Well done. Go ahead, do it. Whether he responds positively or not.
Yeah.
Imagine, just keep going for it. Honor is about me. I picked that's for Charles. And so I think, Charles, if I get it right, you're saying you're going to continue, you're going to be an honoring person. So do it irrespective. But as you do it, also pray and just say, Lord, this is what I'm doing. Soften my spouse's heart, but do it nevertheless.
Absolutely. And we're going to allow these guys to say a prayer for us. Before they do, if you are interested in joining the Ndoa couples community, there's a link on your timeline. So just please do that. We'd love to have you as part of our community, a mentoring space where you can keep growing. You'll also get notified about when we do events like this. So please don't hesitate to do that. But we would like you guys to pray. And I mean, the prayer for me is there are couples there's a person who's been so hurt by their spouse has been passive, has not been engaged. Maybe there's a couple who's almost given up. And it's just a prayer that says, pray for patience. Pray for God to give them perspective. I love what you said, Emmanuel, that if you leave this person now, you will go back and you will start all that work again with the next person. And the problem is the next person will not just have, you won't just have brought your own issues, that person will even have other issues that you can't even predict right now. So just pray that God would give people the patience, just like he did for you guys at one point, to be able to say, no, we're going to fight for this marriage. And that as they do that God would actually honor their decision. So if you could just lead us in a prayer to conclude.
Father in heaven, I thank you so much for this time that you've given each one of us to spend, just chatting, talking, and sharpening each other's and learning from each other, just wisdom. That most of it comes from you, O God. We thank you for the wisdom that has been shared. Father, it is my prayer that for everything that has been shared, O God, that Father, we will have something that we have learned. And Father, as your word says in James, that we will be doers of this word and not forgetful hearers. And Father, in doing this word and practicing it, in implementing it in our lives, may we begin to see the changes that we've so desired for a long time. Father, we pray that, Lord, you will continue to just give wisdom to each and every person listening, Lord, that we might, purge that ignorance and be just more knowledgeable about our relationships as pertaining to money, as pertaining to every aspect of our relationship, that, Lord, we might just draw closer to each other and have strong, healthy, and very fruitful relationships. Lord, we thank you, we bless you, and we seal this prayer in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. Thank you, guys. We love you. We are so grateful to be partners with you in ministry. Keep loving people, keep impacting people, keep holding on to Jesus, holding on to each other, and your marriage, I know, is going to be a blessing to many, just like it has been tonight. And for all our audience,
thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys,
we really had fun.
You're such amazing people, and we want to see just God blessing Ivao and seeing you impacting couples beyond. Like I see people commenting about you guys from Tanzania on YouTube. We miss you in TZ, and there's just different. I mean, you've really blessed people tonight, and so we're so grateful for the both of you. And so if you would like to connect with Ivao, check them out on social media. Connect with them if you'd like some marriage counseling or some marriage preparation or whatever it is. They'll be glad to direct you to the right place. And so for everybody who's watched, we're so glad you've watched. Join the Ndoa Couples community. We'll continue sharing hints. By the way, one of the things we did this last week that was really fun.
We had a marriage hack.
So every week we write marriage hacks. And so it's just stuff that we've learned, that little hacks that we've learned that just make. So this last week, our marriage hack was how to make your spouse do things he doesn't want to do. So that was a marriage hack by Pastor Carol.
So he discovered it right there.
By the way, as we're sharing, it's like, that's what you've been doing all these years. So but anyway, join our couples community. We'd just love to keep mentoring, keep walking the journey together. So God bless you. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely, lovely night. And we just can't wait to connect with you next week. God bless Kashanjas. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.